you're doing.
Yeah.
So are we starting?
There's one area where it's a lot.
Okay.
Well, it's 7:01, so I feel like I have to
Okay.
start the Zoom.
Picture, yeah.
Do we have a quorum?
It comes-
We
what'd you
don't,
say?
I like that.
You don't?
but
And
we
it
might
comes-
have people
so
online.
You can
Okay,
interchange,
I will make it so I'm not blurry.
and it's uplight
Hello,
and it's dimmable.
let's
Mhm.
see, we've got
And, you know, the.
Heather and
configure-
Andrea
I think I want to
online.
have something
Hello.
Okay,
vaguely set.
oh, we have a guest,
Mhm.
that's nice.
Fixture.
So we don't have a quorum yet,
So
so we will wait to
I'll make
officially
putting
convene the meeting,
five.
okay? And I'm sure people are on their way.
What I want to show you first.
I will, I'm gonna text, okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Who's that?
Oh, that was Heather,
Hi, Heather.
whose video, oh, there she is.
You don't need to see me eating the last of my dessert.
Well, if you have some to share, that would be nice.
I have a little bit of fudge from the Big E.
Oh,
Oh,
So-
Molly's, okay,
So the
Um,
top and the bottom, you
okay.
can, there's several different sizes.
Oh, I like that.
See what this is. So this isn't it exactly, but that's the fixture. Not surprised.
That is nice.
I think it doesn't even look like a light. All I can see are, let me see again, maybe the,
there's Neil. Oh, here's somebody, okay.
I don't know.
And Dominic on through,
Uninteresting. But if that's what you want to buy for the library, well, okay.
It's interesting how she phrased that.
Right.
what is it? Is that a light fixture?
Oh,
Snuck
hang on.
that in there.
This is
The decorative, like,
an example. There'd actually be. There are three there. There'd be five. And they're put together. In other words, there are options. In other words, this piece and this piece can be different sizes, slightly different shapes, just to, you know, this is sort of an example.
Very modern. Or, not modern, it's
Contemporary.
contemporary.
So,
Modern is probably,
Oh,
Elaine is away.
And she's
Uh,
on the road and there with no internet right now.
okay.
Please, that's.
Oh, here's Dale. Okay, excellent, all right.
This be better?
oh my God.
No, I don't.
All right.
Yeah.
We have a quorum,
Oh.
Something
okay,
close to the first one you showed me, but with a
okay.
little detail.
Alrighty, so Dale just arrived, in Elaine's absence, I will bungle through chairing the meeting unless somebody else wants to. Hearing no,
And we don't know whether Brad or Molly are coming yet.
Molly is, in Canada, Brad should be coming, he's probably on his way. So
That's
I'll
right.
start with, public comments. Oh, and I saw, so Bert was here, but now Bert is gone, Bert Fernandez was here. But he's gone, so if he comes back, we'll give him an opportunity to do public comment. Public comment, okay, so we have minutes from the last meeting, what was the date of that last meeting, Penny? I didn't. look on the
August
date.
20th, it's been almost. 2
August
months since we've
20th?
All been together.
Penny sent us the minutes last week, I sent her one tiny grammatical
Right,
thing,
and it is grubbed,
okay,
It's not scrubbed?
it's grubbed.
okay,
Really?
yes, it's grubbed. They were
'Cause I looked it
grubbing,
up.
I mean,
Yes.
when you're taking off the
Yeah,
jump. Yeah, right.
scrubbed.
yes,
Cause cause I looked it up and it said scrub, so.
okay.
So I made your change.
Okay.
There was one sentence in there that I think, was a bunch of gobbledygook that I fixed. Um,
And then, so
So I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written
Or correct.
corrected,
or corrected.
okay.
I'll second.
So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. We can start with Steve.
Alma's eye.
Quackenbush.
Who will I?
Jake's eye.
And Antonella's aye. Okay, so the minutes are approved. Okay, so earlier today, oh, good, here's Brad, even better. So we have a quorum plus one. All right. So earlier today, I sent an invoice to Roger and Neil and the committee. It's an invoice from the geotechnical engineer who were called in to make sure that the subsurface underneath the footings was sufficient or appropriate to build the building. So, and that wasn't a service that we had agreed to before. And it's a, cost per hour service. So does anybody have,
I have a question.
yeah,
Maybe you can answer. I'm not arguing the price, because I thought the price was reasonable. But
Would you like to?
what is the difference between an engineer, scientist level 2 and an engineer level 2? And why did one person have 4 hours and the other have,
I can answer
Yeah.
some of that. So the 4 hours, so there was somebody on site for 8 hours and he's like a young engineer whose job it is to come out and do the field work. So he doesn't have the same level of education or experience. He's doing his years of service. And so, yes, and so he is a certain level, so he gets paid less. And then the 4 hour person is the person who's the manager, so that's Ashley, so she scheduled it. And then wrote the report and answered questions about the report,
so who was on site? The 8 hours or the
the
4?
8
Or
hours.
both?
No, the 8 hours was on site, the 4 hours was in the office.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the other way, yeah, 4 hours in the office. Right,
Okay.
and 2 hours on site, right, at the report.
And then they sent us a fee proposal so we may not need to have them come back again, but it would be the same thing. That it would be sort of those fees that we would pay based on hourly wages. So, so anyway, do I hear a motion?
I have another question, just
Okay.
for clarification again. So at our last meeting, we approved construction testing services. Why? I don't understand why this is not part of that.
This is different. This was geotechnical testing, which was not part of the scope of
Not part of
services
the
of that other.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the dollar amount on that?
Total,
Yeah,
$1,955.85.
okay. So do
Can I
I hear,
have that one more time, please?
1955.85.
do I hear a motion to approve the invoice for geotechnical testing for $1,955.85 for O'Reilly Talbot Mill Spoon?
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, and so all those in favor, please.
Alma's eye.
Quackenbush.
Who will I?
Jake's eye.
Antonella's aye, so that motion passed unanimously. Okay, so Dominic is en route, stuck in traffic. That's not me that he's beeping at. Okay, so we're kind of doing the meeting backwards. So on the agenda, Penny, I had Friends of the Library updates. Do you want to share any Friends of the Library activities that are happening? Like maybe that piece of paper that's right in front
Yeah,
of you
so
on your phone?
there are a number of
Okay.
activities happening.
Okay, okay,
One, we are selling paver stones, and we're gonna pick out the colors for the pavers tonight. And I actually wanted to suggest that the building committee immortalize themselves in a paver. They're $150, and if we split it among all of us, it'd be, I don't know, less than $20 a person. So no decision needs to be made today, but I thought that would be a fun thing to do. Anyway, the papers are 18 by 6 inches. You can have up to 30 characters on 3 separate lines. You can do it just to show your support of the library. You can say something clever.
If you can think of something.
If you can think of 90 characters worth of cleverness to put on a paper, you can do it. Anyway, I guess we're gonna be doing this through January.
Through January,
Yeah.
taking orders.
And there's information online. There are also forms you can fill out. If you don't want to do it online, so.
I see, so you can put 30 characters per line.
Yes.
So you could say a lot of things if, you know, you had a lot of things to say.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I found intimidating, but you could just put, you know, my husband and I are just gonna put Penny Jakes and Steve Bressler and the date and 2025, I think.
Heather, you have a question?
Just can the person who has seen a lot of policies and projects and things, and just ask, not that we should expect anybody to be anything other than a good actor, but do you have any policies or expectations that are in writing now about what kinds of clever things people can and cannot put? We just had, for instance, another library where somebody put a very political message that was, you know, a divisive one on their beam at the beam signing. So just that may be something you want to think through as you're publicizing this, if you have some guidelines. I believe as the Friends of the Library, you may also have more leeway than the library as a government body to decline certain statements on papers.
Okay, we'll have the Friends of the Library talk that through. We have talked about. it a little
And
bit.
we're meeting on Thursday.
And they're, yeah. and they're
Lovely.
meeting on-
And I think it's going to look great.
You're welcome to buy one too.
Okay, are there other Friends of the Library activities
There are
coming up?
other
Okay.
Friends of the Library activity. The Turkey Trot is coming up on November 23rd. It will run by, no, it won't run by your house. It'll run by your house.
It will.
It'll run by your house. Anyway, we have around 50 people signed up already, which is way more than we had this time last year.
We have 60 people.
60 people.
Yeah.
Cool. And, we hope to get 200 people, but we don't think we can park many more than that. So, anyway, if you helped last year, I don't know. You
I
helped
signed up.
some, yeah, so if you can't walk or run, there are lots of ways. to
Oh,
volunteer.
we did the fun run.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the
that's
fun.
right. you did the fun one. And then Giving Day is coming up the very beginning of December, and you'll be hearing more about that soon. This is our last big push before.
This really, hopefully this is the last big push
I hope so.
this fall.
Yeah, we hope
Yeah.
so. It's been a lot. I mean, both as the people who give money and the people who ask.
Yes.
The Friends are also seeking sponsorship for the turkey trot.
Oh, that's
Right.
right. If you have a business that would like to give $100, $500, $1,000
Right, right.
to,
2,500.
yeah, $1 million.
So but the Friends have 30 sponsors already this year, and they have, last year they had 7,000 in sponsorships, and they have 10,000 in sponsorships already.
So
Wow.
anyway, yeah.
Yes, yeah, people, so we found this year that people were reaching out to the Friends, that we have sponsors who we didn't reach out to, they reached out to us.
Yeah.
But, yeah, which is kind of amazing.
And it's a lot easier this year now that we've done it once. But it's gonna be a fun day. It was a fun day last year.
Yeah, it can be a lot of fun.
All right,
Always
so
busy.
Roger, do you want to give a report of what has been done and what's being done this week and what we can expect to be done soon? Okay,
As you've seen, the foundation, footings and foundations are all underway. The foundation will all be complete this week. Then they'll move on to doing the below slab piping in conduits next week. As far as the rest of the site, last week and this week, they're working on the storm drainage, the drainage structures and the drainage pipe, and today they began work on the drainage basin that's closest to the road. Beginning with sidewalk.
You made it. Hi.
Okay. Is the temple at church?
Yeah.
Okay, I usually I kind of know it's not supposed to be like you did already.
Else reasons, I can't
There
read
was
it.
another one. Okay.
That was,
The only one?
yeah,
Oh, I thought you were-
that was through September 30th.
Oh, right. Having another.
So is it your sense things are pretty much moving along as they?
Beginning to move along, we're starting to get in sequence.
Uh-huh. Do we have a timeline yet? I know that was something,
Good.
I know that was going to be presented to us at some point. Can that just be shared with?
Do you want me to share the schedule?
Yeah.
I can share the
Yeah.
schedule. Okay. I just have to, I can just bring it up. I'll have to find it and bring it up.
You did.
So, Greg, are they setting up to pour the walls, or have they done some,
They've done half the walls, all the footings,
half the
a
walls
little over half the walls.
have been poured?
That'll be done, the rest
Okay.
will be done this week.
Somebody documenting the progress regularly, photographing it?
Photographs every day, yeah. So I'll post them on that.
Great.
You don't have access, you all have access to the jobs or not?
No,
Just the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I can download them from the doc,
Yeah.
can't I? Okay. All
Do that.
right, so let's see.
I'm gonna interject in, since Neil, I think, is maybe driving and muted. Typically, if you're gonna take photographs and put them anywhere that they may be publicly accessible, the OPM likes to just take a look first. They should be running a safe site and they intend to, but sometimes somebody's making a mistake and they prefer to see that and correct it themselves on photo before some member of the public does.
I'm careful about taking pictures of people.
Excellent.
Thank you, Heather, for like sharing these bits of wisdom. Because that's, some of us pointing have never done this before, and.
I feel like I'm being the Debbie Downer tonight. I'm sorry.
Fine. She's doing great, right, Andrea? So, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is the schedule, and, so we're. I need the pointer. Okay, so let's see, so we're here, and so. That says underground electric, underground plumbing, is that happening? So, SOG,
Yeah,
Live on
great.
ready, so that-
lab on grade, okay, so anyway, by the end of October. All of that, so like the footings and foundations, utility drainage, and what's damp and waterproofing?
That's the black group on the outside of the foundation and under the slab.
Okay, okay, so anyway, and then, and then you can see like in November, December, they'll be doing framing. So,
The dark green are kind of milestones. The
okay,
first one you see is the things for the foundation, and then the next one is drainage. And then the phases of the slab on grades.
So I think what you said is, looking at that, we're reasonably roughly on schedule. Is there any particular schedule issues where we're slipping or?
Probably within a week of what they're showing there.
Okay,
Some things are a 4-week duration.
great,
Pretty close to that.
great.
I have a question about the, site utilities drainage. Is that's not stormwater management?
Yes,
It is.
underground is
And
longer.
so I see they're starting to open that up. What is the timeline for closing that up? Will it, I mean, will it be open all winter or?
The retention basin, yeah,
It won't be seeded?
won't be seeded,
Mm-hmm,
no, because you'll just get weeds
mm-hmm,
until next year.
mm-hmm. And that's not an erosion problem? No, I don't know how this works, but,
No, should-
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you get the overflow as designed, it's
mm-hmm,
not. The function as it's-
okay.
So Dominic, you can use both of those tables.
I think we can.
All right, and then the foundation, let's see, then there's this page, which just goes to next year, then what's this one?
Oh, yeah, goes to the end.
It goes to the end, so,
Number 26 is the one you're going.
Inspections.
all right, and so those are the end of July. So,
And
and then,
Middle of July.
right, and then, okay, so then the inspections happen and then we move in, and that's the certificate of occupancy, so then we move in that next week?
Yeah.
So we load all the stuff from the current library in our cars and from
no, we're gonna,
furniture in my house
we're
and
gonna
then
do it together.
Gail Fleischer's house right next, almost next to you. Okay.
Sometimes the inspector will let you move some of that stuff in before the final inspection, but it's up to them.
Okay, all right.
Kind of depends what you got done.
Right, and then like if we are, what about the shelving? Okay, do you have to wait to put the shelving in until after can I stop sharing the schedule?
Yeah.
All right, so
Mary Ann,
we-
when you have your temporary certificate of occupancy, typically they allow you to start moving things in with your temporary CO. And then that's when a lot of shelving and things get moved in. You don't want to move it in too soon because of, the work that's being done, obviously. And you don't want anything to get damaged as they're continuing to do that work, because you're going to have punch list items too that will be happening probably after you get your certificate of occupancy and after you open as well. Just keep that in mind.
Okay. Good. So any other questions about the schedule or about the work thus far? So I gotta find my agenda. You don't, well, yeah, but you don't have my agenda.
Oh,
I have my notes.
you have a lengthy.
Which I no longer have. So I think the next thing is that Dominic was gonna show us, I think the only other thing on there is review and choose, exterior and interior. Are we doing it interior? Finishes. Okay, thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry we're late.
That's
And
okay.
to everybody online
Yes.
as well. Hey, Andrea and Heather. I just wanted to first check in how we're going to project. Did you send an invite for this meeting? Can I call in or can I?
So it's on the town website?
That's right.
Right,
that's right. Yep,
okay.
Give me a second while I get this
Okay,
up.
yeah, don't, just take your time,
Yep.
okay?
So thanks for being patient. Seemed like I think we were in the road since 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that's
So-
all right. The last time I drove to Boston, it took me 3.5 hours to get someplace that I thought would take 2.5 hours.
So,
And I'm sorry, I don't know you.
oh, and we have,
What is it? Could you spell it?
Yeah, ELISA,
And your
And-
last name?
ELEGRAC.
Better do that one again.
It's not English.
That's okay. And you're part of the.
ODA.
yeah, Lisa's been with us for 3 years now. She's taken the place of Paula, who is moving on, sadly.
Moving on.
Her last week is this week.
Uh-huh.
She's going back to grad school. So we decided early on in the construction administration phase, we learned of that. And so we made the switch to get Lisa on board and to speed
Thank you.
the project. So
Wanted to have it correct.
Sorry
in
for
the
that.
notes. That's okay.
doing formal introductions here. So this up.
Okay. No worries.
So how about if we just go around, because there are other people you haven't met, so we can
Yeah.
all introduce ourselves. Do you want to start? Stephen?
Even Dallas.
I know.
Roger, Dale Hool.
Brad Foster.
Penny Jakes?
Yeah, okay. And then you know me.
Of course.
Okay, all right, good. And then you want to be able to share
Please.
probably.
Yeah,
Okay. 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 You should be able to share now.
great. All right, so for Andrea and Heather, we have a bunch of slides tonight that will go through covering both interior and exterior finishes. We brought samples with us, so it may be a little bit disjointed as we speak to actual samples on hand. But what we have provided in this presentation is imagery that at least incorporates some of these finishes so that you get a sense from the presentation what we're speaking about. So let me know if there's anything that you'd like to see, brought to the camera a little bit closer. And of course, everybody feel free to jump in at any time. So let's get started. So we'll start with exterior. We wanted to show you a couple of exterior images of the building. This is the main entrance. So what we're seeing here are all the envelope components to the building. So starting with the roof, we are going to have a standing seam metal roof to which the solar panels are going to be attached to. All of the edge conditions are going to incorporate flashing, which is also metal. And in this image, we're going with a gray tone that is available from the manufacturer that has been submitted. And the intent for this gray is to match the window frame color that we have. So we ended up getting the basis of design Pella for the windows. They have standard colors, to which we like this gray. It's the Eldridge gray. And we found a very close match for the metal standing seam roof and the flashing. So as we continue down.
So can we see the 10 movie?
Yes, so we have. So this is going to be a little disjointed, I guess,
It's
because we
fine.
didn't centralize.
It's fine, don't worry.
One reason is, when you project the colors a little different,
For sure, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
This is an approximation.
This is the
To the
outer
actual.
gray and this is the changes. So this is the windows
window.
and
Yeah.
this is the.
Yeah.
You're only to pass.
So there are only some minor locations where these two finishes are going to be close together. We have through wall flashing at the window heads. So you'll see a very small portion of the metal flashing peeking out at the heads of these windows. And you see a slight color variation between the two materials. We didn't ask for color matching, but they're going to be different surfaces. So in the way that the sun strikes these, it's going to be a close resemblance.
May I
Yes.
just interrupt for a minute? So I was looking at the slate before.
Yeah,
It's much, much darker than what you have shown here. And I'm just wondering if the trim and the roof and the siding is all gonna look like one monolithic color.
I see from what we have here.
From the
Yeah.
samples over there, can we just look at
Yeah,
these
yeah,
all
absolutely. Yep,
in
together.
close proximity?
Getting under this weight, it's kind of a little different.
Yeah, it's, even those four pieces are different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
There will be a lot of variety.
yeah, variety and also how.
Also look at it vertically,
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the different types of sun, or.
that's used the ball.
yeah. And I mean, it all looks
Is that color
too,
the same as that color?
Well, there's gonna be
There'll be
variation.
some-
Yeah.
That looks.
And we do have the wood, we also have the wood, don't we?
right, the wood is, I mean, obviously the wood can be painted whatever color you choose.
Yeah,
Stain.
Same, right, sorry, but. I mean, was that your intent to have them that close in color palette?
yes. So we have options here. We prefer this. We've done it on another job and we thought it was very handsome. It worked out well, the Norwell Public Library.
Okay, that was very nice.
Yes, and we use the same window, the same Elbridge grey,
Mhm,
and a Vermont green slate as
mhm.
well. So
Okay,
again, when they quarry, what you get for material varies.
sure.
But yes, to your point, they are somewhat in the same family.
I just, when I look at that,
Yeah,
it looks like there's tonally a lot of
there's a
different
variation,
between the slate and the trim and the roof.
right?
And both of these are the same like
Then-
color?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a
They look like
variation we might
outdoors.
see.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Really?
Yeah.
The same pieces.
Same pieces, yeah.
So, wow.
Well, of course, that's on this phone.
Yeah.
So these are all this, these are just variations of the same.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, Vermont non-fading green, yeah. We have two options to show you. We also tried a darker version, so where the window and the metal trim was darker and more
Mhm.
pronounced. We can go to that first. A part of the exterior presentation is also the concrete face insulation, which we have as a water table condition here, alongside the Alaskan yellow cedar, along with the pavers. So we can get to that as we progress, but let me go to the next version here. So this was the darker version, so it's the black Pella frame with a charcoal flashing color. And we felt that it was a little too pronounced when compared to the previous. We felt this was a little more subtle and was not as loud a statement compared to this. So
Yeah, it's really hard to tell because the representation of the slate there is so different than reality.
I'd just like to add that I think that when you go with darker colors, you have to worry more about fade. So I think that these colors will probably do better over extended periods. of
So you
time.
don't think those look the same, Penny? I think those look really similar.
Well, then something is different because,
Yeah, no, you can go do that. It's, yeah. I
You want
guess
me
that's
to
a lot
hold
to-
it and you see it? Because I can see the difference, you holding it. from
yeah,
table.
okay, that would be nice, thanks.
Yeah.
And maybe, maybe as you showed Roger in the sunlight, it looks
Here, let's do
very
that.
different.
There's some,
I mean, that is the thing, we are indoors, having to
Yeah.
get closer to stuff.
And then it's gonna get wet. So,
Right.
Mhm.
and
that's really,
and being in the forest,
it's
it's
just,
also.
it's the same time, same background, but it just came out very.
My personal opinion is I don't like the black. I've seen, right now, I notice black seems to be kind of in.
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking that it's gonna last about 5 years as being popular and then.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't
Yeah.
go with
And I'm-
black either.
I don't like the black.
Yeah,
When you
this
went to
is the
Canada,
black
I was
of the
amazed how many
windows.
houses have black.
Yeah, and this is the
Yeah.
dark
Isn't that
color
the farm,
of
part of the
the-
farmhouse style now that's in?
It's not gonna be that dark.
We're actually craftsmen.
Because we can't color match.
So is that, so far, is that it? Is it just the two choices?
that is what so Pella offers browns and different colors. I'm just getting up some pictures of Norwell that I'll just switch to, just to give
Okay.
you a sense,
Yeah.
Penny.
Oh, Andrea, you had your hand up. Did you ask your question? Or
I just
one of
have-
you had-
I have a quick
Okay.
question. With the color of the roof, is there any difference in terms of heat absorption or heat transfer with the different colors?
There's a heat island effect, which is a real effect related to the darkness of color. And so we tend to try and go lighter colors. We are shying away from a white roof, which would be the ultimate goal if we wanted to reduce heat island effect. So we were tending towards the lighter gray because that would have a reduced heat island effect. Heat island effect is basically a dark color that absorbs heat and then creates a localized heat effect. It happens in cities at a large scale, right? So there's not a lot of vegetation, a lot of
I don't
dark
think it's an
colors.
issue for us.
That's right. It's a small roof. You have asphalt as it is, right? So it's a micro question, right? But as far as the performance of the roof or the insulation, there's not really a big difference between the two, or going white. So we're aiming for the medium.
And what percentage of the roof is actually covered by the solar panel?
Right, a large percentage, more than half. So we have, photovoltaic cells.
That's the roof, that's the window, that's the roof. Okay, so that's the roof. That's not bad.
So let me switch gears and Andrea, you're familiar with this. Heather, you may have seen this as well. This is the Norwell Public Library. So I'm just on our website and I'm trying to get to a few photos that show you the Pella window color versus the slate. So yes, Penny, to your question, it is
The
fairly
same color
close. Yeah,
combination,
there's
which-
not a,
Which I liked a lot.
right, when you were there in
When I was
person,
there,
right. Some of these other images are at dusk, so it's a different relationship, or it's a different time of day to make this evaluation,
That's the
but
same-
it's still
same
a
color
real,
slate as this.
correct,
That building.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So there is, there is a variation there for one, and then there's an overall sense. It is tough to see there compared to the color values are a little bit different here. This looks very gray on my screen. It's definitely reading more of a green, or a light green.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be different on every screen.
And quarried at a different time. Yes,
Mhm.
there'll be a variation to what was used
I
4
mean,
or
look
5
at
years
it there,
ago.
it looks brown.
Um,
Then-
I said this months ago that it's a very small building, and I think keeping the color palette of things are fairly similar is better for such a small building, because you start getting a lot of variation in color. It doesn't help such a small building, especially, what we got.
Right.
Well, the other thing, like keeping all the colors similar. It does emphasize the entrance more because it's such a different, and I think that's a good thing.
Dominic, does this slate come out of Vermont?
Yes.
And this one is what you were showing first, the lighter.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the roofing, metal sheathing, metal trim here, the windows, the slate. So we have concrete face insulation.
Stop
Yes,
it, maybe what color.
is going to be, it will be a wood tone, but it's going to be Doug fir. I have to look at our submittal, actually, what species we're
Okay,
getting.
it's gonna be wood, not metal.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So this eave condition here will be a wood tone.
There we go.
So this is Alaskan yellow cedar, and that will look like this. We're going to finish it with a pre-stain, which accelerates the look of staining that, or the fading that happens over time. So over time, this yellow tone will grey out. And we did it at Norwell as well. So you accelerate that with a paint, or it's basically it's a coating that you put on top. And it just allows for uniform aging. If you were to put this product up in its raw form, you would find that as shadows, or as the sun strikes this in different amounts over time, some will fade faster than others, and you will find that underneath the eaves, it'll stay a richer yellow, and it'll start to grey faster where it sees more sun over time. So that'll be a product that we work through. We've used the product before. It's something that we will come to you with. There'll be a submittal process and a review process. That'll be done in the shop, so it won't be done on site. So controlled environment. So all the Alaskan yellow cedar, tiny shiplap boards will come onto site already treated.
And then 5 or 10 years down the road, what do we get?
You can let it weather, or you can treat it. There's a maintenance. I have to familiarize myself again. I think there's a 10-year maintenance plan on Alaskan yellow cedar where you can, I think it's 5 years for actual treatment of the wood, and the lifespan itself. I'll get back to you on that.
Treatment, well, the treatment,
That you can reapply.
the same stuff? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just to seal and get a longer life. So we will most likely have different species as far as what the decking and the glulam is versus the Alaskan yellow cedar, which will be the vertical boards here at the entry.
Do we have gutters?
We do have in some locations,
And
none on
same
this side.
metal?
They will be the same metal. Yeah, yeah. It's on the other side, so I can fast forward.
Do
to
the
that.
gutters have leaf guards?
Yes, yes, they do.
And the gutters are gonna be the roof color?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So if we go to this side, this is another view just to get a different evaluation of those colors. Again, this is the gray versus the darker charcoal. And then I wanted to get to this view where we're going to have a gutter at this section here. And then at the back here, the meeting room to the lobby exit. We're going to sheet the water to either side of this opening here. So we don't have any gutters on this side. The rainwater will just sheet off the roof here. And again, all these images. So again, here we have Alaskan yellow cedar in these locations. Concrete face insulation is surrounding as a water table condition. We have a sample of that here. And that is to kick off the next conversation about paver color selection.
We put most of them back in the box.
And this comes with the dark? No.
No, it's it's
So, yeah,
all they have, yeah. And again, we use that at Norwell.
it's like Ford, you can have any color.
But-
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And it's actually concrete, or cementitious surface.
Yes, yeah.
So you could, in theory, if you want, paint.
Did you leave this
You-
brown one out on purpose, Penny?
What?
Did you leave this brown one out on purpose? Or did you take it out of the box?
Oh, I have it on the table, but it does not have to be a part of the selection. So I wanted to
I didn't
present a
know.
curated selection from our landscape architect. And
Yeah.
and we'll go from there, but
Those are your choices, folks.
I mean, if people really want to see the other choices, they can. They just have to get them out of the box.
And we're picking one color or two colors?
two colors. So
And why are we picking two? They're not gonna be mixed.
they are not,
Right.
mixed. No, they're not a blend.
Do we have a?
So
Okay.
we do, yeah. So I just wanted to orientate the group first to where we have these pavers. They're in a limited location and they're really to highlight circulation in and out of the building. Or at least the major locations of entry and exit. So we have two paver types. They're not going to be a blend. They'll delineate zones. We're going to have paver A will be the outer locations. At the adults, Stimson decided to have a continuous run, so there's no interruption here. The intent of this delineation for paver B is to really highlight the massing that's going on with the building, or in the case here of the main entry, it's highlighting the canopy condition under the roof eave. So this line is related to what is happening with the roof. And again, I'm calling the exit from the lobby. It's delineating this massing. So this is the staff workroom, and it ties into that. So these are the paver locations A and B and their count. So moving on to the next slide.
I have a question about
Sure.
that, and it relates to the fundraiser we're doing with
Yeah.
pavers.
Absolutely.
In your mind, should all of the engraved pavers be one color and?
That is the suggestion.
Yeah.
I'm asking Stimson to make a suggestion if we exceed 130 pavers. So
100?
Stimson are suggesting that paver B is the color that will best receive engraving, or at least show engraving. We'll get to the details because you can engrave the text or the names, and then you can emboss them in a sense, or you can paint after the fact so that you highlight that. But we're not suggesting that you do that. Stimson is recommending that you let the shadow line of the engraving kind of highlight. It's very legible, but it's a little bit loud to then come back and then infill with paint. And so their suggested colors, they recommend that paver B be the pavers that you engrave because of the color tone.
I would have, I mean, location wise, I would put them where.
Paver A is,
are.
yeah. And so I've asked that question. I haven't got an answer back
Mhm.
for tonight.
Well,
but
and they didn't suggest colors.
they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, that's a
So what
part of this
colors
present.
did they
That's coming up.
suggest?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So,
And are they
This
those
is-
colors over there?
so these were
And they
the
vary.
colors, and so they have version 1 and version 2.
Oh, so that's why you had the
yeah,
green one.
That's
Okay,
right. So I
yes,
wanted to get
okay.
the cream up
All
just
right,
because they
Yes, okay,
um,
yeah,
they had suggested that, but
okay.
let's go with the initial recommendation, which is natural, is paver A, and then limestone is paver B. So this one is going to be paver A. Let's go back to the location. And we'll tie in to what we're doing with concrete. This is going to be concrete sidewalk, and then we have asphalt.
Really, that's all concrete sidewalk?
This is, yeah. Yeah. And then we highlight with paver B, which is the limestone grade. So again, it's subtle, but it will be noticeable, and it's going to work with the concrete faced insulation.
Well, I'll bring over the cream one. Because I know that was part of the.
They do not recommend the charcoal. They feel like it looks too close to asphalt. And it's just something about that they were steering away from. This was the replacement for tile A, or the potential.
That was to be paired with charcoal.
Well, that was initially their consideration, but they are recommending not to use
Yeah.
chocolate. So this could straight substitute for the natural paper A, which would add a little bit more warmth to the sidewalk, right, as a hardscape.
Can we check the tracking on that?
So the two on top of the cedar are two different colors.
They are, yes, yeah.
Well, I think that's the point. I think they're too close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, I
I would
don't see,
almost
I mean,
prefer
they are
the
different,
cream with one of those.
but
But they're not.
barely.
I like the one they don't like.
You
This
like
one.
the gray?
Yeah.
The
Is
charcoal,
The charcoal. I think the building's getting a little bit too
monochromatic.
monochromatic, yeah.
is the cream where the wood is? Where the wood siding is?
I also feel like. the
No.
one should be in.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Paper
Yeah.
A will be outboard unless it's at adults room, it'll get closer, and yes, it'll be
Right.
in line with the wood here.
What don't they like about charcoal?
It's the association with asphalt.
That's,
Yeah.
That's what I kind of want.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it doesn't really look anything like asphalt. If we put that next to asphalt, you wouldn't confuse the two
I think asphalt would be a darker hue.
much. And I think that probably
Less
looks
aggregate.
darker inside here than it would outside.
And less
And-
aggregate expression than you
Right.
see the surface. Yeah, so again, this is a recommendation and
So if you're looking for more contrast, which of the other two would you put with the darker tones?
I think the warmth of the cream might be a nice offset to the darker type, instead of going gray, then kind of,
Go back
I
one
don't
image
like
again.
that.
Yeah.
So if it was the charcoal and cream, you said this, but which is paper A and which is B?
so A would be the cream,
The one.
and then B would be the charcoal,
Uh-huh.
at least by,
I would have done just the opposite.
yeah.
So I am pretty confident that the engraved pavers are going to be where you have paper A listed.
Yes.
Which one will show up the engraving better?
I don't think there's an issue with, well,
And
they
what-
recommended that the gray, not this one, so kind of in the natural is the one that they recommended would,
Would highlight the.
yeah,
engraving
the
best?
engraving better, so it has to do with the shadow lines,
Yeah,
right, because it's embossed or,
Right.
So not the cream.
that's right,
So
well, either of these would work,
Either of those.
either of those two, not the dark.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't like the cream with those other three colors. Personally.
I like the cream, but it doesn't work for me to have everything else gray and then suddenly have that cream color.
Well, it does pull off of the wood
Yeah, I think
a little bit.
But the wood is going to end up gray.
Yeah, but it's not-
That's true.
not gonna be that.
Everything's gonna be gray.
Yeah, like
Yeah, but not before we're dead.
That's the only one. That's a good point.
I think the overall sense of the building will come from the slate. It's
Yes.
the majority, it's the major,
So can you put that
product.
cream next to the slate?
yeah,
But
The
will
cream.
any of it
Yeah.
be close to the slate? I mean, there'll always be, some other color in. the-
yeah, I guess really the
The
wood,
buffer is gonna be the
Yeah.
gray, more gray.
Oh, no, here, just,
Yeah.
here, I'll take the cream,
But-
Dominic.
Get it out of here.
But none of it's gonna,
Where I think I have.
yeah, it's gonna be that way.
so
Yeah,
none of it
exactly,
will be
exactly.
direct
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It will always have this as a
Yeah,
buffer.
right.
And generally, there will be a wood finish where the pavers are. Because it's happening where there's either a projection or a subtraction of the building.
This.
Yeah, and so
with
we're
its
finishing,
fading,
right,
faded color.
the finish move or the rule behind pushing and pulling in the building, you know, is to highlight in wood.
So how?
And that's where the
gray will
pavers
cedar
are happening, right?
How great will the cedar be in 3 years?
It won't be very grey yet.
It'll still be,
Yeah.
have a yellow or
Yes,
warm.
yeah, there will still be a warmth even with the pre-stain.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be a very subtle change over a long time. Yeah. So you can see here in this image at least, and let's go to the this version of that. So you have the warmth of the wood here adjacent to the pavers. And again, we're going to have pavers here to next to wood and slate. There is slate, right, in the general vicinity, but again here, maybe this other view is better. Here, we're going to have pavers here, and this line will highlight the overhang condition. Here's another slide.
Too much gray?
That's what.
Do you want the
I've
gray
heard that.
back?
I definitely want that. but
You
I think-
definitely want
I
that?
think everything's just too much gray.
That has some like personality where the others are almost just one color. But does it have? Well, I think you take that and you put it outside and it really lightens up.
So there'll be different surfaces again, as soon as you're on a different plane.
No, I'm talking about Jeff, the one Jeff
This-
stood up, that one.
Yeah,
I actually think that it has enough variation in it that it doesn't make me think of asphalt.
I think the reading of aggregate,
I agree with you, Jeff.
So,
I'm gonna see if I
Did you say
can
the
find
charcoal
any
you
pictures
can't
from
grade?
Hanover.
it
of,
will, so let me go to this slide. Right, this is, we didn't get any images of an engraved paver without the infill of paint. But there you can see you needed it on the darker gray to highlight that. So you're relying on shadows
Right.
to read the lettering when it's engraved. And so the darkness of this paver takes away from that. That was the recommendation.
So it could be engraved.
It can be engraved and
It would be very subtle.
it'll be a little more subtle, but I don't believe it'll be illegible. And I would steer clear of this treatment of the
Oh, yeah.
paint.
I would
And it'll
too.
fade,
That's
and,
right.
you know, it's just.
Yeah.
You'll see the ones that were donated earlier and the newer ones, you know, there'd be a variation there, and
So
so.
I would vote for the gray close to the entry. And the lighter color out, and the lighter color ones be the ones that are engraved.
Yes,
So those are the two you like, Jeff?
Yeah, and those two colors would work better than with this.
All right, and then the one on top would be the walkway closer to the road,
Yes,
and that's what Penny just said.
yes.
no, he said that.
Did we agree?
No,
No.
I'm trying, so Jeff, which one is closer to the building, which one is the walkway leading up to the building?
Oh, okay. Building away from the.
And away from building is also.
Oh, I think that's it,
That's the engraving.
okay,
That's what I-
The lighter ones
all
are
right,
engraved.
okay.
so,
So the darker one is closer to the building.
yeah,
And the lighter one is walking toward the building, and the lighter one is where we would engrave them.
Indeed.
and that is the,
So now we can say we're cutting off pavers. Purchase of pavers at
What is that number?
182.
182. Yeah, that's more than enough.
Because the rest of the group is leaving, so that we all go down together.
Well, we could vote on
Does someone want to make a motion?
it. Jeff, make a motion.
I make a motion what I just said.
Charcoal close to the building and what is that, light
Limestone.
limestone away from the.
Where there are 122
Right,
pages.
this is charcoal, right?
Charcoal is paver B from that,
Right.
Yes.
All right.
and limestone is paver A.
So Jeff made that motion.
I'll second.
Stephen, okay.
Stephen seconded?
Down the side.
Wait.
Uh,
What was the name of the second color?
Limestone grey.
Right, any more discussion? All right, so, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Down the side.
Like a motion.
Pool, I.
Foster, aye.
James.
And Phyllis, aye. Oh my God, we did
I
it.
agree with that.
Okay. I thought we were gonna have to come back for a second meeting. So, okay,
Nice.
okay.
And are we in agreement on the upper part, the
Oh,
roofing?
so the lighter of the roofing treatments
Yeah,
versus the darker.
there's the, you
Yes.
have the
Yeah.
slate, the window and the roof.
Yeah,
Which is the first image that they showed.
yes.
I don't think we want the black.
Yeah,
I like that.
we like the one you put
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on that too? Did we already?
I don't think we did, but we can.
Let's vote on that.
Okay,
Okay.
I make a recommendation to go with image 1 or 8 or whatever it's called.
Eldridge grey is the name of the window treatment versus black.
Yeah, Eldridge Gray, and what's the,
And
Tin Lizzy and
Yes.
Eldridge Gray.
Okay, so Jeff made, so the Eldridge Gray is the roof or the window?
Eldridge grey is the window.
Okay, and the roof
Window,
is Tin Lizzy?
That's the name of
Okay.
the color?
Yeah,
Yeah. Which is really an excellent name for a color.
It is.
It is, okay. So Jeff made a motion that we went with Tin Lizzy for the roof,
I'll second.
Eldridge Gray
Used to apply them all.
for the windows. Brad seconded it.
Yeah, I'm seconded it. And who is the purveyor of the roof material?
tin. No,
Yeah. Imetco, I'd never heard of actually.
And you like
Imetco.
that brand?
It was submitted and met the specifications.
And so there you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. No, I've not come across that.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by
Down the
saying.
side.
Pool, I.
Foster, aye.
Sorry, I'm trying to write all this down. Is it my turn to vote?
Yeah.
It's,
That's no aye.
Dominic, I hope you're doing a better job of getting all these details down.
Oh, yeah, no,
I think Elisa's running.
my chicken scratch over here.
And is there any question on the, I don't think finish is the right word, the treatment for the cedar, for the Alaskan.
So we can get samples to you
of the
prior
different-
to making that selection. We don't have those yet.
Okay,
So you'll have boards that are treated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is make sure that we get a single coat on there instead of a double coat, because you don't want it too thick, because then it starts to change.
I do like the idea of a treatment that will make it age more uniformly.
Yeah, right, yeah,
And is this
Yeah.
the texture and
I
of
agree.
the
Yes.
wood?
Yeah.
Smooth?
yes, yeah, yeah. This may have seen better day, I mean, as far as those scratches,
No,
No,
in
in
terms
general.
of
yeah,
roughness.
yeah, yeah.
And I assume all sides are stained, treated.
Uh-oh. He's big on this, but he's got a long side answer.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to ask for every site to be stained. But they're gonna have to make sure that it's installed, surfaced out. It's going to be installed vertically. So, it does not matter which orientation, as long as the treated side is exterior, as long as they start. It's gonna, once they make that decision, it's gonna have to be the same direction across the facade, basically.
Yeah, but we want-
If it was horizontal, then yes, there is an orientation, because you need to allow for water to drain out. There's a right way.
But we want the bottom to be sealed so it doesn't wake up. the moisture.
It's, yes, it is a aesthetic treatment. It does protect the outside as well. I have to look at what we own and inspect that. I don't think we own all sides, actually.
So when you say it's an aesthetic treatment, does that mean that it's already treated?
It will be in, they have to treat it in the shop before it comes on site.
But the treatment is the stain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but they're not gonna stain all four sides?
I believe so, yes.
You believe they are?
They will not. I believe you're correct, but they will not.
But will they
And why not?
stain all of the edges?
Yes, they'll have to.
But not the cut area.
No, that's right. Cut-ins will not get treated.
Oh, that's bad. He's gonna give you a long lecture.
No, about staining all four
Go
sides.
ahead, Stephen.
Yeah.
Well, it makes the wood much more stable, I mean, because, you know,
For
again,
cupping and,
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's not gonna affect the longevity really, but, it certainly can affect the, look over time.
What we're mostly concerned about is the bottom.
Right,
Right,
not the top. The
yeah,
top's
Jeff can tell you about the paint job at the school, all the bottoms are painted.
Oh, good.
Painters weren't painting them until they were told.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that as well.
Um, well, I would ask if you could look into seeing whether or not
yeah,
all four sides. Or all sides,
treated. Yeah,
or,
I believe we did this in Norwell and we did not treat all the sides. Yeah. But I will look into it.
Do walls on that?
And is cupping been an issue in Norwell? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with the material itself.
And if you weren't doing all the sides, would you do?
Anything that's exposed, so I would do this surface and then just safety around there as well.
And this is what I'm referring to, the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll be installed vertically. The top should get treated, this should get treated as far as the top. The question is,
What happens on site?
yes, because it will get cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And then you'll need to touch that.
Roger?
Lots of cuts.
It does terminate under the E.
Yeah.
In all locations.
Yeah, and that's not critical.
And then we have 18 inches above
Right.
grade.
Well, and that's critical.
Yeah,
That will help you.
I will look into that, but
Thank
yeah, I'll get back to you. It's a good point.
No, I'm in agreement on all four sides.
Yeah.
Generally.
I mean, if we're doing it in the shop ahead of time.
Well, yeah,
It'll be.
except that, you know,
a bit more light.
it's twice the process, because you're, you know, the stuff is, you know, it's not getting dipped, shall
Right,
we say, it's getting sprayed out.
right,
And then you've got to, you know, let that dry, flip it
Right.
over.
Yeah.
And do it again, so it's, you know, it's gonna add to the cost. But it's not as if we have a huge amount of this stuff.
right.
We don't, actually, when you look at it,
No,
it's a very small amount.
And
Yeah.
is this on flooring?
Yeah,
So this is
Yeah.
rented.
yeah, everything is right.
That's helpful at least. If it
Yeah.
isn't,
Oh, it's rain screen?
it's arrangement, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll definitely help.
Yeah.
That'll help too. Yeah.
So that's exterior
Follow the plans.
plants, yeah. I've got an image for that too. And it will be seasonal, but I think the vegetation will really it's about celebrating the environment in which the building sits too. So I think that will really help offset the somewhat monolithic tone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So moving to interiors, we wanted to focus predominantly on flooring, but we do have some adjacent finishes that we'll bring up that kind of speak to some of the interior experiences. So just reviewing quickly again, we have a rubber flooring as shown here as one type or one color. We have rubber flooring as shown here in the rose color as a secondary color. And then we have carpet in this central space and office.
And something different in the bathrooms.
In the restrooms, we do not have a finished submittal or a product submitted yet for the resinous flooring. And once we get that in hand, we'll review that with you as well. We're thinking that once we get a selection for the resilient flooring, we'll just play off that basically as far as what the color will be. So that is not included. We do have some exposed concrete, which will be sealed in spaces like the electrical room, the water service room, and that's it. Everything else, the storage rooms and the book drop rooms will also be resilient flooring. We decided on that just to manage the thresholds so that, wheeling carts in and out is seamless. We wanted to, an image like this has been shared with you previously during design, and this is a section through the building looking at the central gable or pitched axis of the building. So running from the meeting room on the right through the entry lobby, the restrooms, you have the teams you're looking at here, director's office, reading nook in adults, the study room, and then the two children's room niches. This view is to highlight the fact that we have a high spine and, central to the gable. And we are considering the treatment of this wall as it works its way through the building as a ribbon of color. And so you can see from this section, you have different zones, and we're considering this as kind of a nice move to allow color to change between the spaces. We're holding a datum through this building at a cove light condition here. So at this line, we have it's 9 foot up from the finished floor, and it's a cove light. It's an indirect light shining light up onto the roof or the ceiling. Sorry.
And you're recommending a different color treatment. That's the same throughout there.
So it'll be our white above, and then the changes in color will happen below that light fixture. We felt, first of all, we liked the idea of this ribbon of color going through, and it moves its way in and out of spaces. So for instance, the teens room is a recess room in this space, but that the color can then recede into that space, come around back out again. And so this is kind of this language of a ribbon moving in and out, but only associated with that side of the building. The other side of the building will be all white, and therefore the interior will be all white, and that will allow us to maybe be a little bit bolder with some of the color choices, be kind of surgical in where the color is, these pops of color, and it plays against the white on the opposite side of the room.
So this is the wall on the interior.
That's
And when
right.
you're talking about the other side, you're talking about the outside wall.
The opposing wall to these spaces.
We're talking west.
Yeah, west versus east.
Yeah, so this is the east wall
Yeah.
that moves down the plan.
Right.
But it is within the higher,
I think it's the west wall.
so this is that wall that we're looking at it this way. So we're looking into these spaces.
Yeah.
From the help desk to the wall.
That's right, yeah. And so these walls will all be white. It'll make itself a little more apparent in the interior views, that
So-
section.
This whole, seeing
Yeah.
that wall will be pink. And seeing
Okay.
this wall will all be white. That's the biggest section of that wall.
That's right. This is the tallest moment in the
Yeah.
building. Yeah,
And the upper part of that tall section
it's
also
still
white.
white, correct. Yeah, yeah. The interior views will help. The intent for that section was to explain our design.
Oh, it is east.
What's that, sir?
I don't know, it's either east or west.
Oh,
Yeah.
It seems to be.
And then-
it's the east wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
And this section that's top
it does.
gray,
This is plenum space, and this is
Yeah.
where all our mechanical
Okay.
equipment is.
and basically we're not seeing any of that because it's,
Correct.
there'll be a
That's right.
ceiling there.
That's right.
Yeah,
It's a low ceiling condition at 9.
right.
So there's a real expansion and contraction in your circulation experience. So you're
And there are
entering in a tall space,
panels on those high
That's right.
walls, and those will be the
Yes.
same white.
and you're seeing a slight
Yeah,
shade there to
yeah,
show that these will all have acoustic panels. We've got some samples of those as well, so we want
And the
to.
ceiling under the plenum,
We'll have acoustic ceiling tiles.
so it would
So
be similar
they-
to that.
It will, but
Will-
that
will
will
light.
be white.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and there'll be interior views of all this.
Okay.
Yeah. So we wanted to start at the meeting room and then work our way out. Just a note to say that the color selections here are by no means final. We are still using placeholder colors, but we have started to make some decisions related to the resilient flooring product that we got. And it will become more apparent as we work our way through the building. The children's room, we are considering as an accent space. And so we're working backwards from the accent color in children's. So we're kind of reverse engineering, but we're starting with this view first, just to give you a sense of what's going on here as far as
The
the
front one
flooring.
of the floor, I'm a little confused on something. So the left
No.
wall,
This
there's
here,
green,
There's a door over
Yeah.
and
here.
then there's a stripe of white. which will
No.
get to the acoustic.
Yes.
What is that?
so that line is driven by this indirect code line.
Okay, well, what's the 18 inches of white?
No,
So
there's
we're
a
going to
door.
have
Wall, yeah. There's a door on that
diffusers,
wall. Get a
and
door.
we're having,
Just
it's
barely.
serving it. So we've got a linear, that's not shown.
Yeah.
No.
So there's a zone in
There was a
here
door to
where
the
we've got
exterior.
air serving.
And
Okay.
then
So
There's a
it'll
door
be
to the
busier
electric.
than
Oh,
much. There'll be another, and they're 1-inch slot,
Another door.
2-inch slot, so it'll be a clean line. Yeah.
No, there's a door, where's the door to the electric room?
Down here.
Down there,
Yeah.
you just can't see it.
Yeah.
And then what's that other door?
This is the storage room.
The storage,
Yeah.
yes.
Last time,
Yeah.
I haven't looked at these for a while. I thought there was an exterior door at the
They
front.
used to be. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they had
that, that was,
Yeah.
Yeah, because of all the stuff that's on the outside, remember, we didn't, that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is it well, it's too late to do anything about that, yeah. I'm just thinking if you need to get to the electric room, you have to go, you have to enter the building at a door fairly remote from the electrical room.
let's see here. You would need to enter through the main lobby,
Yeah.
or you could enter
Yeah.
through this, meeting,
Right.
So
if
just,
somebody were to
I
leave.
don't remember the change.
It's,
But you're still, we
This
at one
mechanical
point talked about
Yeah,
having
it's
it
right, mechanical, yeah,
yeah,
from the outside.
as I referred to
Yeah,
as
that
stuff.
was detailed.
yeah,
It was.
yeah.
But
hidden on
but
the
one
cell,
I
yeah.
remembered was the
Is
door-
there, this is backing up, so there's this door, exterior door out of the multipurpose room.
The meeting room, yeah.
The meeting room, is there paving out there?
There is not. That will be, asphalt paving, yeah. Sorry for those online having to deal with my scrolling here. Let me do this a little less abrupt. So we had a resilient flooring submittal, we got our basis for design. So we got the product that we wanted, and we had initially presented to you a bunch of options. We got our basis for design. So we then had a palette of colors to work with. We're considering the majority of the floor to be a more muted gray, so that all the furniture and books, collections, everything else in the library can kind of pop against it. We're showing the meeting room chairs as white. That will most likely not be the case. I'm sure there'll be.
They're black and-
No, they're not. Are they white?
They're black and white flecks,
Well, they're like
They're
a herringbone.
dark gray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're dark gray, upholstered. And
Right.
then I think they're metal.
They have metal frames and
Yeah.
it's like a black and white.
Herringbone.
Sheet.
Yeah.
And I
You see
think
on-
you want a lighter floor.
You see on their image at the bottom of the sheet on the floor, they got the little round disc.
Yeah,
Do yours have that?
I don't know.
It-
We can buy the ones that you stick on. Ours were free.
Yeah, I know, but those steel legs could puncture the floor or leave dimples.
I think
That's what-
I think they have, I don't know how to describe it. Instead of having four legs, it's like a molded.
No, a sled
Yeah.
base.
I haven't seen them for a year and a half, but that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have those already.
They're in the
Check
basement
space.
of a town residence. Yes,
And so if we have them already, when we're discussing,
We could
Floor
incorporate
and-
that into these images,
it
Yeah.
might.
and
have
we
an
often
impact.
do, but
You
we,
might not like them.
the chairs, I'm sure I'll love.
You
Yeah.
won't love them.
They're really, they're
They're very
excellent.
comfortable.
They're excellent chairs. I'm sure they cost $1 million.
Andrea
Uh,
raised her hand.
Andrea, do you have a question?
You're talking about the meeting room chairs that you have? So do some of them have arms? Or are they all armless?
They're all armless.
So I would say that you probably need to get some with arms for people to be able to push up. So you just want to make sure that you have varied seating for different bodies and different
Right.
abilities.
Yeah, we could buy a few, we could buy 10 chairs with arms.
Great.
That would make good sense.
But the color of the chairs, the pattern, color, something, could have impact on the choice of floor.
They could.
Right.
We, again, what drove the bus for us was, first of all, children's in what we can do for accenting, but also carpet in adults. It's a major space. And so where we were leaning with our options for the carpet kind of drove then the selections for this. So we didn't let the resilient drive the bus. So we have a main field of resilient flooring. We liked the Dharma ash.
So can we see a sample of this?
Yes, yeah. So we
And this
should
was gonna
probably.
extend right into the foyer, the lobby.
That's correct. Yep,
Entry.
it terminates at adults. right?
Yeah.
And so we have
This is all the
strategic
public
use.
space,
That's
the major.
That's right. Yeah.
That is this?
Yeah, the view is different.
I thought you were looking at something that had a pattern to it instead of just
Fleck.
where,
It has a fleck.
Oh,
not from here, it doesn't.
I like this better than the gray. Gray looks like concrete. And that is.
We should, yeah, yes, it'll be strictly.
Oh, yeah. Definitely does support it. Yeah.
Is that, on this tiles? Or is it-
Yes, we will be doing tile.
Does it, I'm gonna light it by it.
It comes in many. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we can go lighter. Again, our thinking had to do with playing off carpet.
And
Here's a
the-
picture.
Not necessarily the color, but the kind, the pattern of carpets would be in all the other ones.
the carpet.
Yeah.
Yes, yep, so
Um,
this is
here,
an
we
actual
can-
sample.
There
The
are-
rendering will
You can
help
pass that around.
describe.
here are the chairs. The pattern and then is more obvious the closer you are.
Like this.
Kind of like that.
Mhm.
We shy away from too light
Mhm.
to highlight dirt.
No, I do
Dust.
understand that. I have
Yeah,
a
your floor,
Brazilian floor and
Yeah.
it has a strong pattern and you can never tell it's dirty.
yeah, and mine, I have a similar floor of a different color.
And I
haven't seen
vote
it-
for more.
Oh, they went
I
away.
mean, what you're saying, this will hide stuff.
I
Yeah.
would vote for more
Flux.
color variation.
More variation.
Yeah,
Not a lot. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like bold colors. It's just
more of the fleck.
more model. No, it's model. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay, here's the chairs.
But I think you want something
They are
lighter-
slid.
lighter than those chairs.
lighter than, yeah, I mean, I would say from this photo that they'll look very close in
I mean,
colour.
don't you think those were $100 a piece? And we have 60
I think
of
they're
them?
perfectly fine. I think what we can do, well, the wall color is one. The fact that this meeting room is, it's really considered a flexible space that is allowed to bleed out into the lobby space. So initially, my thinking was, well, we could do a color for the resilient flooring, but I'd be reluctant to draw that threshold at the meeting room sliding doors because we're really considering that as a space linked to the lobby.
Mhm.
And so we could potentially draw a line at, well, we have to reevaluate that potentially because there are a lot of grays going on now that we know we.
Do you want me
have
to send you that picture of those chairs?
Yes,
All right.
but I think we could counter that with the wall color. And I'm reluctant to jump straight to changing the floor color yet. Let's go,
Are we having an on-site meeting next Monday?
yes.
Yes,
Bring a chair to the
I can
meeting?
bring, yeah, I can bring a chair and put it
Sure.
in the trailer, yeah.
So this is the second image of the meeting room, again, to highlight what we could do with a change in color. I wanted to also bring your attention to the acoustic panels. So we have some samples here and again, this is an acoustical treatment along with the baffles that we have in the structural bays above. So we have some samples here of the baffles, the acoustic baffles above, which
These are the things hanging down.
yeah, above. There's 12 inches tall, directly surface mounted to the decking. And they will be, I think it's 9 foot. They're divided into 3 sizes. So a smaller, a larger, and a smaller length. And that is their stock lengths. And we're able to distribute them to achieve the acoustical performance that we need. We are considering taking the kind of the browner of the color options to tie in with the wood. And I think
I make a motion
to
that
go
we take the
with
browner of the color option.
we've got a sample of the glue, a glue lamp. I'm not sure if that's Doug fir itself. We could get spruce. I'm trying to think of the different species that we may be getting.
looks like, yeah.
But that's not necessarily it.
No, they'll be, it'll be
Right.
similar
Similar
to
to that.
Yeah,
That's the color should be similar.
The way you're holding it, I can't tell what the middle one is. Is that a yellow or a beige or
It's a lighter beige.
it's a lighter
Yeah,
beige?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Mary Ann
I
likes,
like
likes
brown
the,
as
likes the
well.
tannish.
The one on top.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
We thought it was most appropriate, and so the acoustic panels on the wall will look like this. They come, not this color. It could be if you want, but
But no.
No.
Um,
Oh, we don't.
there's a whole range.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a lovely color, you know?
Before we move off of those,
Yeah.
do those all have the same color options? The,
No, these are different products.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all are agreement that the one you're holding is the one we want.
Yes, right.
So do we have consensus? I think we have consensus that that's the one.
Yeah.
That's what I.
All right, so does that have a name for Penny's minutes?
Pecan,
Oh, yeah, we definitely
Or
want it.
as we say,
Pecan,
pecan.
yes. Okay, yes.
Tomatoes.
We have to look.
Yes, okay.
I'm gonna start critiquing the way I say things. I'll never win.
I met some almond farmers out in California
Hammond.
and
Yeah.
I've not heard that before.
Yes, okay.
So we started to look to this is an acoustical treatment. Above 9 feet, right? It's in the upper portion of the space. And we were then considering tying in a color tone that is similar to this, speaks to the color treatment that we're doing in the structural cavities.
Are you talking about this now?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So there will be some variation to the color. And we liked the eggshell because it was not white.
Which one's egg?
The eggshell is this one here.
oh, okay, I thought you were pointing to the egg yolk.
No. And what we like about that is it's subtle for one. It's also going to disguise dust build up.
Yeah.
You don't want pure white. It ties into this, so there's a nice language there. You can't hide the fact that it is a panel. You know, there's no point trying to go pure white here. We think eggshell works great.
Yeah.
And so
I
it's
agree.
something that we're trying to represent in these images, and you'll see that come up. But I just wanted to mention that.
Can I see that?
Yeah, sure.
So eggshell is really the, beyond white, it's the lightest.
Yes.
And I think the backup.
If we can't get the eggshell,
Wait a minute, is the blue free? I think the blue must be free. And then that would be-
how about lime green?
But lime green, yeah. Which color is wrong clearance? This is-
Yeah.
So just to be clear, Dominic, yeah. Eggshell is on the walls
Yeah.
Yes,
and the pecan.
yes, yes. It will be on the,
This is
on the
light.
back.
Yeah.
And just to get a gauge as well of the white that we like to use in our office. Again, it's not a pure white.
You're talking paint now.
This is paint, just
And where
as
would
in,
that be?
this would be in all the white areas.
Oh, I
It's
see.
our go-to,
And what's-
it's our
what is
tried
it?
and true. This is a Sherwin-Williams product.
Uh-huh.
Snowbound is the color.
Snowbound.
And
Sounds cold.
you can
Don.
see, there's a little bit of warmth actually. to it.
Yeah.
You can see there that against a pure white, it's an off-white, but it starts to tie in the eggshell and it works really well.
And that white would be below the
That's correct.
eggshell
Yeah,
as well as
Yes.
on the other wall.
that's right.
Yeah.
I have a question. I know we're not talking about other colors in the room yet, but I thought one of the selling points of the white kitchenette was that the wall
Go
would be white,
Yes,
so you wouldn't see it.
that's right.
And
I would
So
still
is
like
that-
to achieve that.
I would too. If
I
you're
agree
gonna
with
have a
that.
stupid white kitchen, I want the wall white.
Yes, and I am on board with that as well. I think there is opportunity that if we do a pop of color, that we then consider the kitchenette somehow. Not
Well, could
yellow.
the top be at the far end instead? Where the
Um,
screen is?
Oh.
We could, it's breaking our rule, but yes, we could
Whose
consider
rule?
our rule. We like to, so this paint strategy of this ribbon color can be broken in this.
Couldn't the
room,
ribbon
obviously.
start on the other side in this one room?
Yeah, it could.
You know?
Yeah. It's just about a continuity
Right.
of language that
Yeah.
you know, it
Yeah.
reads well as well for wayfinding. the yellow room is the meeting room, and,
Right.
it's
You
a
know,
language.
So I think of this,
Expression.
when I think of this room, I'm also thinking of displaying artwork.
Right,
And white walls work best for
Don't white
that.
walls work better for that,
yeah,
or
Yeah.
very neutral
Yeah.
walls.
Yes,
Yeah,
And you're talking about the wall.
yellow.
yeah, so we do own, yeah,
Well, no, any wall,
All of them,
any of the limited wall
I
space.
think we have maximized picture rails
Yeah.
in this space.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
And I'd be reluctant, actually, to your point, to paint the display, the presentation wall, just in contrast to whatever you're
Yeah.
showing. So,
Well, sounds
know,
to me
potentially
like
the meeting room
snowbound white.
could be the
Wow.
color for the,
Yeah.
yeah. So, that then leads me to think of how we treat the floor. And maybe we study that a little bit more, but I think there would be a minor upcharge about where you're cutting in different colors. The product itself and different colors are going to cost the same, right? The material will cost the same. There'll be they will look for a minor upcharge where they have to cut in more product or different changes in product.
I mean, like if we change the floor color in the middle of that large space?
Yes.
Okay.
So we already own two in children's was designated as a different color to the rest of the building. We think it's minor, but it can be done. So we can potentially revisit this room.
I don't think it has to be done, though. I mean, I certainly don't think we're gonna change the floor color because of the color of the chairs, because so there will be times where 40 chairs are set up in that room. And then there'll be times where 4 tables are set up with 8 chairs. And there'll be times when 8 yoga mats, and those are the colors
Yeah.
of the yoga mats.
And
So,
there'll be times.
can
when
the
people-
floor match those?
And there'll be times when kids are carving jack-o'-lanterns, and the floor will be.
Covered in pumpkin guts. So what color goes best with pumpkin guts? So.
We might have that. But I agree. I think the
Yeah.
use of this room, and especially as an art display,
Right.
going with white
Yeah.
makes sense. So,
Yeah,
we can just stay with that for now.
but is there something with a little more pattern to it? Or like to the floor, like the marmoleum?
I think
pattern?
we really like this product. We decided on basis of design as a group. But what we really liked about this is that there is an expression of fleck that feels very natural when compared to the others. So there's a subtlety.
From here, you
Yeah, I
see the
can't
black
see any.
wall.
No, and so this one version, we do have the sample book, that's right, that we use to make our selection. And within that, yes, there are some where the fleck is more pronounced than others.
Which of those?
But still, those are small, so.
Right.
Yes,
just keep in
but
mind.
there's a variety in the fleck sizing.
And what were you looking at originally? This one?
Yeah.
The ash?
Yeah.
How about palladium?
How
Yeah.
about Palendium?
So again,
That's really dark.
we were looking at pairing with the carpet. So there's a major transition from resilient to carpet, where you go from the circulation space or the circulation desk and print area into adults. And that we feel is important. So you can see here in this rendering, if you are standing at browsing, looking through, you start to get a sense of the zone of carpet and how the resilient relates to that. And so we are limited in carpet. And so we are kind of playing off what are our options in carpet, and therefore then making decisions on the result.
Yeah, I feel like the community room is so separate from the other spaces.
Right, but it's not separate from
Yeah.
the lobby.
Yeah.
And I think it should be all the same floor. I think community room, lobby, and that
Yeah.
pathway there should be all the same floor.
Yeah, we-
Did.
So, yes, so.
Yeah.
And, so the choices are basically what's in that book that Stephen's holding.
Yes.
And no other pattern options are available.
Yep.
Bummer.
And we have the carpet on one side.
So we have the carpet
And what
in
color is
this
that there?
orange
That's the
zone on this
Yeah, and
map.
I also
Yeah.
think that on a larger scale, that these dots will show up more. Well, because this, you're looking at just a very small piece of this, and you're trying to form your judgment on just this, and I think spread out, you'll see that these lighter colors can begin to overtake it a little bit more.
And so you think the ash, that the palladium was darker than the ash?
No, it's lighter, sorry.
Okay.
I was thinking
You
of
think
my
it was
mind
on
on
the other
other
end,
end.
yeah.
Yeah, on the other end, and that's
All right.
darker.
Yeah.
And has more gray, you have it here on the
Right.
bigger.
So do you have
yeah,
a good
You might like
example of the
to look at
palladium?
this.
Not today.
Because what I like about that is the variation shows up more in that particular
Yeah.
one.
Can you get one? You can get
Is
one.
this the carpet that you're talking?
So we have,
Our favorite.
we liked 3 different carpets. So let's go to
Oh,
adults.
so you're liking palladium, is that what you're liking?
Personally, but you know.
So we wanted to show you these images that help describe the scale of the pattern.
Let's start with the carpets
Okay,
and then
Yeah.
go out from
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Back.
all right,
Nice to go past that.
okay.
I think
So
the palladium would be lovely with any of the.
It's a little more, it definitely comes across as brown.
I mean, we can certainly get a sample,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I think it does.
And what's this wood?
So this is maple that we have in the millwork. And what we often do with shelving,
Uh-huh.
yeah, is have end panels and canopy tops that are finished in maple as well. So you have this reading of
So that
maple millwork.
will be some of the furniture.
That'll be a
on top of-
warmth that you have in the,
Which one would you suggest
So-
for the children's?
so let's start with carpet in adults. And
Okay,
then we'll work backwards that way.
and adults runs into the lobby.
Yes, so if you look at this view, so coming into the building, into the lobby, turning right, this is the compression, this is the 9-foot ceiling, the
Right,
low space. And you can see here the transition from the circulation desk and the print space self-checkout into adults here.
and that's the same transition where the roof changes. where the
Yes,
front-
and then the roof opens up as you basically stand then at this view.
Uh-huh,
And then at this view, we have 3 views here to describe the carpet. So you see the sample in front of you, gives you a good sense of the color. The images give you a sense of the scale of the pattern, which is somewhat difficult to read here. There are 12 different tiles that you get with any selection. And the pattern, the resulting pattern of these layouts is larger than what you see here. And so we think one selection criteria is the expression of this pattern. And so what we liked about the poetry, which is this one, is that there is a highlighting of this pattern. So you can see it's accentuated in the view when
And this is what.
this
it
is the
looked like
poetry.
In a larger, when all 12 pieces were. put
Yes,
together.
like a random distribution of those tiles. Versus the misty, which is the lighter.
Yeah, that's.
So again, we evaluated, why don't we start with a lighter tone and then everything else can kind of fall out from that in a lighter
Mhm.
color, including the resilient. But we felt like the pattern was lost. We really liked the pattern from the first slide, and then comparing again to a darker tone. again, it's an inversion of
Yeah, and I don't
Poetry.
dislike that.
What?
I don't dislike that,
Yeah.
the darker,
Can
but
I,
I also. Yeah, go ahead,
sorry,
Andrea.
I just wanted to bring up, because when you're talking about like dementia-friendly spaces and spaces for accessibility and for those who are neurodivergent, when you have a carpet that has the potential to look like shadows or a lot of variation, it can come across as holes or changes in floor level to someone who is part of that population who has that. So I just want to bring your attention to that as you're looking at it. I can't really tell from here from the screen what it exactly will look like. But I just be cognizant of that when you're making the selections, because it can become dangerous to someone who has, say, dementia, and they start to walk differently and then they become unstable while walking because of what they're seeing on the floor.
So that image there is this one.
Yes. Thanks,
And then
Andrea.
you go
That's a
back-
good point.
yeah,
It's
go
one
back.
that I was not considering. We were going more for biophilic kind of idea, especially in our presentation during design. So something that's more natural. It has a nice randomness in a small space that kind of relates to the nature outside. But so considering what Andrea said, then, you know, the lighter version is a more subdued expression, correct? The misty, and versus the poetry, which is an inversion of the darker. So I think the poetry is a mid-ground to, you know, the least expressed, or, you know, the most.
And can you just point to each of these and tell me the names again?
Sure. So this is the poetry.
Okay.
This is the misty, which was subdued, and then airy was the darker. Yeah.
This is the first one,
That's right. Yeah.
first put out here.
Yeah, this one.
I like poetry.
You
So
like poetry?
Does that meet Andrea, how do you feel when you look at that?
It's hard for me to tell on the screen without seeing the actual tile itself.
Can we hold up?
The differences on this tile are really much more subtle compared to the darker ones.
You hold it up and talk.
Can you see this?
what color?
I can see that, yes.
Is that better?
Hold it a little higher.
Higher?
But it's not.
So I can see it. And not being an expert in this, just knowing it from the dementia friendly spaces guide that we've read, just having variation, even at that level, I don't know. I'm not sure. The lighter one looks like it would cause the least amount of issues, but again, I am not an expert in this. I would ask, I'm trying to think of which group did the dementia friendly, and you could probably ask them if that carpet would cause an issue. I think it's let me look it up and I'll send it to you, Mary Ann, so that you
Okay.
have it.
This one.
And I don't-
So Andrea, we have a sample book of the carpet manufacturer here. We can send you an installed image of the heartthrob. There's an example here to just play off the rendering. It's very similar to the rendering in the expression of that.
Okay, that would be great to see. But I'll also find the organization that put together the guide.
Yeah.
Now it's very simple.
That's the middle grade.
Just get back to
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Discussion, we got pick one for now.
Right.
yeah, I mean, we can revisit if, depending on the criteria. Hang on, I'm jumping ahead here.
And like you could see it with that darker one, you could definitely see that people could,
Well, the same.
you know, if they're having visual,
Yeah,
you know,
challenges.
challenges.
I also feel like the darker one, I mean, this just looks, that floor there just looks grim to me.
just the spook.
Grim.
The resilient floor, not the carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is looking back again. This is starting
Right.
at the darkest of the three.
Darkest of the carpet.
Darkest of the carpet, and then it's pairing of resilient that we felt matched in tone.
Okay,
So we have three of the gray tones, and we have them up here. Is that right? It's these.
Yep.
So we have
is
elephant,
the,
and it's island. It's this way around. No, the
So-
other way.
so right now you have the ones
These,
there.
yeah.
Okay. I'm feeling like the dark carpet with its bigger contrast is not what I would want.
This 1%,
Yeah.
I tend to agree.
And therefore, it doesn't matter that I don't like the darker resilient either. Because I feel like we need to move back to a slightly, to at least a lighter carpet, and that will bring with it. I agree that they should be paired.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a picture of the next pair?
Yes, and so this is the next pairing where we have misty carpet with island resilient. So this
Okay.
is the lightest. And
That's
then,
the lightest two.
yeah. And then this is our
That's the
favorite,
middle
which
grade.
again,
That's a
take
lot
the rendering with a grain of salt compared to, you know, what is everybody's screen quality compared to the image.
Yeah.
Looking at this screen in the room is different to what I'm seeing versus the actual product. With the Misty and the Island, we liked the coolness of the Resilient to play with this coolness. So it's closer to a blue, or there's a very slight blue tone to that undertone. Yeah, and we thought that was a nice relationship. Also brings slight tone to your flooring, playing off the warmth of all of the wood that we have. Whereas this one, you could feels a little warmer. It's a little, there's some yellows that are popping out here, and I think it's the fleck that's helping drive that. Compared to, you know, there's a yellow in this fleck as well, but it's the overall blue tone in this Resilient that's a nice pairing. Yeah.
And am I right that when we get to the children's room, there's
Yeah.
another carpet change?
No carpet, but there will be a Resilient color change.
Different.
Oh, it's resilient flooring
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. Okay,
So I still prefer the, what is it, paladin, the lightness of that.
The Misty.
The,
no.
Oh,
No, look
Yeah.
this right here.
This.
and I
Yeah.
would request
That's what she,
seeing a larger piece of it.
palladium.
Lady.
Yeah, so I mean, I mean, I think when you stand up though, and look at this. Oh, actually, no.
Yeah.
I do that. Well, I'm just wondering, well, with the blue
if
background.
we
It's not gonna have.
did go to the palladium, is there a carpet you would recommend with it? Does it?
Yeah, put it on the gray.
It could, yeah, I think the reason that we went with the ash is that it helps blur the transition, the threshold between the two. So when you start going
That's this
lighter,
one.
that stuff, yeah, it starts to get
And the-
more contrast.
The palladium would demark that line strongly.
Yeah.
I don't see
Yeah,
the very.
and it just, it makes, it kind of really brings out the carpet. In a very strong way. I think we are trying to achieve more of a blend. And especially this view, you know,
What
you
about-
really get
It's
that
good
that
enough.
sense of, you know,
Yeah.
it really pops and stuff.
What
Yeah.
about Palladian with the misty, the lightest carpet?
Yes, I think they're closer. We did have a look at that, but we liked Island. Again, the ability to, our recommendation would be to go with a slightly darker tone, but
Yeah,
this just shows a little bit more dirt and dust. And it's, I think out of the selection of carpet, if you really like the Palladian, I would go
so
with this.
if some members of our committee really like the Palladian, you would suggest going
This
with
carpet.
Yeah.
I would.
I own it.
Which of the floors is the currently the children's that you have?
That's the next step. So.
Lime green.
And,
See where this is going.
I don't think there's gonna be any lime green.
No.
Okay,
So-
if there is, your computer could just be
So
broken.
carpet in the adult section,
Yes,
It's all the same.
resilient in the lobby and the meeting room, resilient in the
Yes.
kids. room.
that's right.
Okay.
Do we need to pick?
My sense, we do not need to pick yet, Roger. We're not at that point yet.
It would be nice to see the bigger piece of Palladian.
Yes, so we can do that. Really, the reason that we're looking at interiors is, I think the pavers was the critical choice.
Right,
We've made that.
yes.
That was time sensitive. The resilience.
But also the trim, the roof and the.
Yes,
the
they
window.
will be coming.
Right.
They're not as critical as the pavers. The pavers we're to release this month
Right, because
allow
John
for
has to
grade.
order those,
Because you gotta
Yeah.
do that.
right.
because of the
Well,
upgrade.
that's because his quote,
His quote.
yeah, his
expired,
quote
right.
expires.
Speaking of which, are there any more decisions tonight that are crucial?
So I can quickly race through children's, but we do not have, as a result of what we just discussed, we will not have a defined decision tonight.
Okay.
for the result.
I'm on English time. I'm gonna pay. Yeah.
Yes, so I can speed this up in 5-10 minutes. Okay,
I think that should sell.
what's that, sorry?
Are there more carpet choices
Uh,
in the book?
there's
Okay.
like,
Okay,
we,
all right. Okay,
we basically wanted to curate for you
right,
because otherwise it's overbearing to go from 12 to 3, so. But.
with us? No.
Yeah, so you said,
Nice.
thinking,
Even for me.
yes, with you.
Okay.
So, well, that's our job too, isn't it? So going from the adults then to children's.
Okay,
So we have a few options, as you can already tell. We wanted, again, the children's to really be the space where we can be more playful and to really highlight the programmatic use of these spaces. So here we have the ash
oh, but I don't mind that at all.
Oh, yeah.
against the spice. So the yellow resilient is spice.
And all of this is children's, but
This is
Demarcating
children's, but we are,
sections.
yes. So we are showing you 2 versions of this. This is what we own. We own a field of change in color.
This has more.
But when evaluating this, we were considering, do we allow this smaller space to the right here to really be the pop of color? And that decision was not made so much for the spice, but we do explore the other colors. And so they become very loud and strong. And so we were considering what would it take if we were to delineate.
and those two, those are, I don't remember what we call them.
they're really breakout spaces.
Breakout.
Yeah, so
And the darker, the gray flooring is.
would be the main
shelving.
field. Yes, this is the main space. We have another view in this space to help highlight that, but I wanted to go through the colors first. So that would then be the spice throughout. Again, playing off the wall color. This is the saffron.
I like that too.
Oh, they're all, yeah. So this is saffron, which is a darker hue or more vibrant.
And that's not on green, that's chartreuse.
Potato.
Is it?
Yeah.
The renderings,
Yeah.
I think, are slightly darker.
Yeah.
This don't seem like very children-friendly colors to me.
Then the cedar,
Susan, again, you don't think?
They don't seem like children. I mean,
how dare I?
the gray
Marianne?
does not seem like children-friendly.
What about?
We like the green, especially in this view, right? There's a nice legibility
So I
to,
really like that, but is that gonna be so totally passé in 10 years? I mean, that just seems like too trendy, color composition.
I don't know. I don't think, I do agree that that's not what we're going for. I think we're just really looking to express color.
Yeah.
Does it make sense for the space?
Oh.
I don't think it's really, our decision making is.
I like it there,
But
but
not
I like
there.
it there.
I kind of like the butterscotchy one and the green together.
The saffron.
But again, I just feel like those are
And so the green,
colors that will say this building was built in the 2020s.
yeah, but it doesn't matter because.
Because it was.
But where would the butterscotch be and where would the green be?
It would be either or in our
Okay.
current version.
And it couldn't be the butterscotch and the green?
Which one's green? Is spice?
So
Yeah,
Spice.
spice.
these two,
No, no, I don't.
oh, these two,
Yeah,
But you know, if you're looking for some pop, you know.
I know.
That's the thing.
But that means another color for this being an overall color, which I don't think we want.
we're adding scope as well. But that was another.
But we don't have to
consideration.
decide that today,
We don't.
because we're going
Adding
to
scope.
look at furnishings next week for the children's room, and,
It may help make decisions.
it may have to make the decision, right?
You said added scope, but I didn't know what that meant.
So this would be adding 3 different colors. We own 2 colors
Okay,
to the job.
You have two in the.
Yes.
the
And
bid
this
process.
was, that's right, we were vetting that through design.
Yeah.
You know, different.
2 in the whole job or 2 in the children's room?
2 in the job,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And one of them is in the.
Is the main field for meeting room.
Meeting room,
main
circulation.
circulation.
Could you
For
rip off,
resilient.
could you rip off that main field with a more playful color in the children's room? So you still only end up with 2?
I guess that's what we're doing with these color selections. Taking what's available, yeah. But if we feel strongly about introducing spice and saffron, so that something similar to, you know, in between this with this, right? So
Right.
that would be the lighter field, and then we have the darker here, I think might work well. When we're looking to transition from the carpet, see, we do, right, you see a little bit of the adult's carpet here.
I do really think the green would be dated by the end of the first week.
I like it. Definitely. Or by the end
You
of
don't
the
feel
week.
too strongly about that.
Do you have other playful colors that you can show us?
Went all out and went
Not
with the
tonight.
red,
No.
which
Oh.
we kind of like. But
I like
it's it's a bold move, but
Yeah.
I
I
the thing is,
orange.
it's a smaller space,
Right.
and in
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
carnation, it works because you're containing it,
yeah,
and
yeah. I
you
do,
know,
I
in
like
this
that,
view, I think it works.
and I think that could last for, I think that that is an ageless look.
I think this is a lot.
Yeah,
I like these.
yeah. Which ones? Yeah,
In fact,
but the green, let's just put the green back in the box.
Cause I
You
think,
were
I think
thinking
we
that
could ask
the-
for a price
The
to
solid
go
red
with
is
two
too
colors
much.
of that.
Is that what I,
I mean, how much more could
It's a
it
lot.
a lot,
Couple
It-
thousand, but
It's a small space.
be? Yeah.
I just, when you go back to the red brick.
I like the red.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
hot.
Find that
The red
like
gray
that
felt
too.
like such a strong
This is
one.
the.
There is some thinking to not draw a threshold like this
Yeah,
within what is considered children's, right?
Yeah.
So that that this feels more unified.
I
and
like
it's
the
floor treatment
unified.
versus
I
you're
mean,
holding a hard line.
if we had colors that were closer, I wouldn't.
The Leverett
Yes.
Library has red carpeting.
Really?
Yeah.
So the other thing, rather than having two colors of flooring in there, you could put area rugs in that.
Yeah, but people trip over area rugs. I think we wanna,
Area
they get
rugs are-
dirty.
I think about my parents, when I just kept going through, moving all the stuff they're gonna trip over.
Right. I already trip over area rugs.
I think the other thing is we're hyper focused right now on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see an image like that, and that's what we're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, your experience of this space there's many contributing factors to how you read this room. And so the views out will be a very strong impression. The fact that you have a high ceiling, it will feel open there. I still think this works. We wouldn't have presented it. It's a bold move, but I think it works in this space. Because of everything that's going on around it.
With the outside.
I do think with the red, and I've not seen this in person, so I don't know how vibrant that red is. But that's a very activating space for me to look at color wise, and I agree it's quite striking. But again, if we're thinking about, folks who are coming in who may be neurodivergent or may, just find that really a lot to deal with, are they going to be able to say in that space, we've had a children's room in another community where it wasn't the color chosen per se, but the carpet was so busy, we had parents saying they couldn't bring their autistic children in. So while I do absolutely empathize with you want to have something that's really striking, I'm worried about that much red. And that being the only place for kids to be in the building.
And I'm looking at it on my computer and the color is really quite different than
But there
that
it is.
color. I
Yeah.
know. And so I really go back to the spice and the butterscotch.
I do too.
And-
I'd say the same.
Sort of, they're color, but they're more neutral
Mhm.
colors that will stand the test of time, I think.
And if we
Um,
stuck with the single color, which is what we did, we put in the bid.
right, I
I
would
think
go with
either of
this.
those would work better.
Right.
And Marianne, I
fine.
just sent you some resources to read through, and I think before you make a decision, I would read
Yeah.
through them and kind of go down that rabbit hole a little bit to make the decision. I don't know if you have an accessibility commission in your town.
No.
We do not,
we do
Okay.
right. I did
Um,
just with, neurodivergent teens and parents of neurodivergent children, we talked about this, and they were all over the place, in discussing colors.
Yeah.
Because it's also personal preference.
Right.
So, and I will say that when I go to sort of newer buildings, so has anybody been in the Greenfield High School? There's a newer Greenfield High School, it's just remarkably beautiful, it's beautiful. But there's a lot of color and pattern in the floors, and I think when those hallways are full of high school students, probably nobody's really noticing the patterns in the floors, but I've only been in there and times when it's not full of high school students, and I really noticed that. It's like, oh my God, what were they thinking? It's a little too much.
And
So-
oftentimes we don't see the finishes in our projects. This is a very rare instance because you know that we don't necessarily weigh in on finishes, but since it's come to our attention, we're trying to be more cognizant of it and make sure that you're choosing something that your community will, that the reaction will not be the same as that other library where they had the carpet choice that was really jarring.
And especially I'm thinking somewhere, like, that library was in a place where you don't want people to do this, but parents could drive to the next town over. Which is not the solution you want, but they had a solution. You guys are going to be the premier destination library for rural communities for miles around. So.
Wow.
We have the,
Yeah.
staff room.
Yeah, right.
In
We
the,
can charge it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
or you can just click it.
So that's, the colors are
I've
so
got-
much better on my
Elisa
computer.
did a lot of work to get you different versions. There's different slides. I can share this with you as well.
We don't have to start today. I mean, my jet lag brain goes to those two because.
And I would just do the spice and
Yeah, I
not
would
bother
be happy
doing
with a single color.
I mean, why add, $200, $2,000?
Can we look at furniture before we settle? on
Yes.
this?
We can, and
We can.
we'll also talk about wall colors. Right?
Again, yeah. So wall colors will do very late in the game, and we're going to do in place. So we'll all walk through the building, and the contractor will do color draws, and we'll ask for a few versions of a curated selection. So
And the
We
colors
as
we
the
choose will play up of the flooring. that
yes,
we've
that's
already
right.
chosen.
And the intent is to try and replicate the actual light condition as well. We may not have functional lights installed, but we'll ask that they give us, foot candles in the space that are somewhat approximated to, what you'll see on opening day.
When do you need decisions on this?
Not yet. I would say we have a couple of months at least.
So
If
I guess is it gonna be after we're finished?
Oh, for the flooring, I think we need decisions before that, but paint color will be next year.
The reason I'm asking is, when we saw just with the foundations that are laid out, the shapes of the spaces are very different than what you're seeing from these images. And I'm just wondering if it will have a bearing.
The scale, you mean?
Yeah, the scale.
Feels small.
I'm gonna leave.
Okay,
Do we have a new meeting?
so the second Tuesday of November,
12.
sounds about right. So we'll go look at furniture before then. And then I would say that we're definitely leaning towards the subtler.
Yeah.
Color.
And the lighter carpet.
Misty
And
one, right?
Um,
You wanna see another one besides. these?
well, I think we definitely don't want that very dark one.
I was-
Right,
Probably between those two.
yeah.
When did you get back?
Yesterday.
Oh,
Yes.
somewhere, yeah.
No, 11.
And when did your body go? Time was, yeah.
And then
I
I
may
think
miss the
it
12th.
doesn't,
I'm starting to check.
we're gonna sort of put it all in and then move in there, and then it's really not gonna be about the four colors. And we're all gonna be sort of startled by it in the beginning.
I think
And then-
your tendency to go with spice is a good one, absolutely. And you let the space and how you fill it out be
Right.
the ultimate expression of that. Right?
Yeah.
And it's the people that make the
Right.
space.
Right.
That
Yeah,
once your collections are in there,
right,
you find that really.
right. And like, the
speaks
collections
well.
aren't gonna look like that. Like, those are really
Yeah.
bright, bold colors, but, they're not gonna look like that.
And Mary Ann, I'm assuming that all the book spines will match the color of the floor.
Absolutely, yeah, that's how we're gonna do our collection development, by the color. Yes, yeah. What color is the cover? Oh, sorry.
That's everything I had. Andrea, Heather, or Neil, am I right to stop sharing on your account?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
I likely will miss the 12th.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
it depends on. I leave early on the 15th and I'm usually not ready.
Okay, all right, and I'll see you Friday morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye, Brad.
I'm actually gonna put that on the calendar now.
Good question. So these are the fixture locations. And so I'm assuming each one has its own box.
Yes.
So is it gonna be, will this be?
So,
We don't do a.
let's see, I was on my list, I didn't have any other business. Does anybody else have any other business?
At the level.
Well, I just have a question. I thought one of the things we would do is review expenses today, just not weigh in on them, but just hear where things
Oh.
are with that.
Or
So like change orders
Change
or,
orders or, yeah, just sort of where we are in spending money on this.
so we haven't gotten a bill from the contractor yet. Um, and we've had one change order.
Yeah.
Right. Do we need them kind of?
So what were the change orders?
And
Just
so
out of-
like say.
The rebid in the can.
Distribute them.
The HVAC,
Oh, right,
Yeah.
that was the one we knew.
so that was an $85,000 difference.
Well,
Second one
this
was,
is, they go from, that's 12 to 17.
so the other one we
These
signed
large
was,
ones.
we had to adjust some of the footing.
So we can just pull them apart a little bit more.
No, that's right. we didn't-
And then the other thing.
For the well. Yeah, okay, you're right. You're right. Yeah, we found a well there.
Oh, the one up front, right.
But did we sign that change order?
I said,
You did, okay, and how much was that?
that's something else.
3,000, okay.
So then it's.
We found the well.
Oh, I mean, it could be.
No, was
Adjusting the depth on the footings.
adjusting the depth on the
And-
footings of a change order that you signed? Do you remember how much that was?
The fixtures will all be on the same.
Footing?
Yes.
How is it important to calculate those things? I don't know.
So you
They're
did.
still working on the numbers.
Okay, we don't have that yet, okay. So we just have it for the well and the HVAC.
You could, in
Um,
theory.
And we, so the only invoice we've approved is the one we just approved tonight, right? And we,
That's not part of.
right, and we haven't gotten,
have a supposition.
Yes.
oh, we do,
Yeah.
okay,
Then,
Mary Ann, we have one application for payment that you should receive from our office tomorrow. First one.
okay. Okay, so,
And there, according to bid docs, there have been no executed change orders to
I
date.
really.
We're probably still chasing signatures at this point.
The other night, it's like, oh, we're having meetings now.
and you
When-
got, you changed, you signed too,
Online where I could see.
okay. Well, maybe other people have to sign, we'll find out, okay. Okay,
Photos showing.
all right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Getting like-
Well, then I think do I need a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:19 PM? Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 10:19.
Second.
All right,
Yeah, SI.
okay.
Pool eye.
Jake's eye.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I
The
have.
meeting is
I
adjourned.
need to.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good night.
good night.
Good
Well,
night.
And,
Good night.
all right.